Hi, I'm Mark with Line to Line.
Hi, I'm Andy Suman. This video we're going to show you how to order abradable powder coatings on a variety of different piston types.
We've got 2-stroke pistons, 4-stroke in both race and street applications. While we don't have one here, we're even in top fuel. And
diesels, little bitty ones, big ones.
so you can see that we're in many applications. And while there's commonalities, there are some big differences when it comes to ordering the coating. In all of these applications, in order to get a better final fit, you'll want to have some interference as the parts are operating at temperature after they're assembled. The coating is designed to gently and safely wear in to find the correct shape while it's at temperature and under load.
So ordering the coating is the first step in getting a better engine. If the clearances are left unfilled, you won't pick up all the benefits of tight-fitting parts that don't add friction. If we put too much coating on or too strong of a coating, it can be a lot of work to break it in. It may keep bogging your engine down longer than you'd like. So you need to have a plan considering how much time you have to break in your engine, what's the power level, how familiar you are with running abradables in that platform, and cook all that together into a recipe that's going to give you the best final product after your pistons fit themselves to the bore. So always keep in mind with abradable coatings, there's a trade-off. If you go tight and you use a stronger coating, you're going to need more time for the break-in. If you use a softer coating, it's going to break in really quickly, but it may not last as long in a high power application. So you need to consider all these factors when you go to order the coating from us. When in doubt, you always want to leave more clearance in there because the next build you can go a little tighter.
So for example, in volume manufacturing, the coating specification is worked out in advance because it really needs to be quick and effective in terms of the break-in. They need to be able to assemble the engine and then send it down the line. On the other hand, if you're trying to set a record, you can go for perfect, you can put on a heavier coating, but remember it takes time for you to be able to break it in and let it find its ideal fit.
Remember, you can visit linetolinecoatings.com, check out the videos or the FAQs, and if you need to, give us a call to help with your plan.
Piston manufacturers usually specify about twice the clearance that's actually needed, even at the gauge point. And the reason that they do this because if they go too tight, then the risk of scuffing increases to factors that may be outside their control, such as temperatures, bore distortions, measurement errors, duty requirements, or even the tune of the engine. APC fixes all of those unknowns automatically in each bore.
So the APC strategy in most engines is we will take up 75% of the manufacturer's clearance with the coating. The coating is soft and fuzzy. When you run it, it's going to wear back, and a lot of times, usually if you run an engine, you build it at 75% of the clearance is taken up. Now if you have a really high power engine, we're going to leave more clearance. If you've got a really tiny engine that's tight tolerance, we can't leave much clearance, and you're going to have to be a little more careful on the break-in. So we're going to help you with all those strategies for the different types.
We'll start with 4-stroke pistons because that's what we get the most of.
Yeah, on linetolinecoatings.com, you'll find this order form behind the order button. It just has your name, contact information. This area is info about your engine. Nitrous, supercharged, turbo, diesel. Is it hard block? Is it water cooled? Is it air cooled? Some of these details play into how the coating breaks in, and we want to consider that. Down below here, we want your finished bore size, your displacement, and you can check the box crown coat or skirt coating only. We do offer crown coatings to be one-stop shopping. It's great stuff. You can check that box. So then we have the pricing, and we have expedite services. If you're in a hurry, we can turn them around. We got to charge a little more. So then we'll move down to the calculation area.
Let's look a little more closely at the calculation sheet. And it's always good to run the calculation because that will give you an approximate target thickness. But you can always fudge that a little bit once you're done, depending upon what your power level is, your experience with using APC on your pistons, and another factor might be the amount of time that you have for the break-in.
Yeah, so this sheet gives you little boxes, your finished bore size, your recommended piston to wall clearance. So if you know you need 4 thousandths, you put 004 in here. This is just your bore size as measured. And then your uncoated piston size. We're going to use those three numbers to calculate how thick of a coating to put on your pistons. And these are all diametric numbers. It's not radial numbers on one side. If we say 4 thousandths, we mean 4 thousandths on the diameter. So an important number on this sheet is this 0.25 here. Remember, we said we want to take up 75% of the clearance. So if they're saying you need 4 thousandths of clearance, we're going to take up 3 thousandths with the coating. We're going to leave 1 thousandth. That 1 thousandths is 25% or 0.25. Now, if you have a high power application like a top fuel or a pro mod where those pistons grow so fast and you can't really run the engine gently, we have to leave more clearance from the start. It's still going to help the engine big time, but we can't go as tight. So you might want to change this number here to 0.50. That would be, hey, they tell me I need 4 thousandths of clearance. I have a high power application, so I'm not going to go to 25% of the clearance. I'm going to leave 50% of the clearance. So you can just change that number on your own.
So just to clarify, the gray boxes are just an example of how to run the calculations. You'll want to put your own numbers into the blank boxes, and that's how you'll end up with your target coating thickness down here.
There's a couple kinds of two strokes. Let's split them into small dirt bike or chainsaw type two strokes, and then the other class would be race two strokes. So in the small two strokes, there's about 2 thousandths of clearance in here, and that's about what we're going to put on. We'll use the Slick CC. Always use Slick CC on two strokes because they tend to be tight, a little lower power, and you want that coating to break in nice and quickly. If you're running a performance application, I would start with the Slick, and once you're familiar with how it behaves, you could go up to Slick Plus, which is a more robust coating, but it's going to take longer to break in.
In diesel engines, we've been in everything from daily drivers and industrial equipment on up to pulling trucks and tractors. So for stock engines and performance engines even that are only up to about 1,000 horsepower, we would use our Slick Plus formulation, and you can still run the numbers on the calculation sheet. If it's a tractor pull engine, extremely high power, extreme use, we'll use Slick Plus, but we would probably leave some extra clearance. You may want to consider leaving 35 or 45% of the manufacturer's recommended piston to wall if it gets to that level. Just remember that higher power means that you should probably leave more coating to wall clearance.
So the next category of engine types is pro stock, pro mod, top fuel or funny car type applications where the power level is real high. There's no time really to break it in. Some of these engines, you can't really run them at half throttle and partial throttle. They're kind of either on or off. So in those cases, we're going to leave more clearance just from the get-go. So we're only going to take up maybe 40% of the clearance recommended for a pro mod. Pro stock, that's probably around 40% as well. Top fuel kind of applications, we're going to switch to Tribolive 9 Plus is the coating that we use on really heavy power applications. That stuff does not wear in very much. It's meant to be very durable, so you can't count in on the piston honing itself quickly. So we're going to leave a bigger gap with that harder coating. But over time, the trick is to start with more clearance, and as you see the results, you will find the sweet spot in your engine.
APC has also been in volume production. We've been in warranted remanufactured engines, we're in aviation engines, civilian and military drones. In that instance, the specification for coating thickness is determined in advance, and then we're able to turn out any number of pistons with a consistent thickness that's designed to be assembled and have to go through a minimal break-in period. So we're able to deliver tens of thousands of pistons using APC in a volume setting.
That brings us to the vintage and restoration part of the ordering process. Vintage would mean old parts. Maybe you can't get these parts anymore, or they're scratched up, they're worn and small, don't fit together. So in that case, you want to measure what those clearances are, and you're probably going to be able to spend some time hand fitting. So give us a call, work with us, and we'll make a plan what material to use and how thick to go with it. It's also very machinable. We do that a lot on new parts, you know, modern race pistons. They come in scratched up here. Back in the day, they would go, wow, that's junk, too bad it's scratched, throw it out. Well, with APC, as long as the pin bores are good and the ring lands are good and there are no cracks, chances are we can restore that skirt surface. And even if you had to open up a block because of the damage that occurred, we're going to be able to build that piston up. We've even gone over 20 thousandths on the diameter to get modern pistons to fit again, and that's at high power levels too. Over 2,000 horsepower, we've been over 20 thousandths thick. So the sky's the limit. Just give us a ring and we'll do our best to fix your parts.
So the final step in ordering is sending your parts. When you're sending your pistons, please disassemble them from the rods, remove the pins, rings, clips, spiral locks if they're in there before you send them, and clean them as best as you can. They need to be oil and wax free, or we have to charge a cleaning fee. Packaging is key. You're going to want to make sure that the parts can't pound against each other, which means that you need to have a big enough box to be able to accommodate bubble wrap, padding, things of that nature, so that they don't end up with dings and scratches in transit. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Once your parts are fully disassembled and cleaned, then put them in a box with your order form. We need your name. We've gotten parts with no name from a UPS shipping center, and we have no idea. So don't forget to put the paper in there.
So this is an example of what not to do. These parts actually arrived in our facility in this condition. No dividers, very poorly wrapped. Surprisingly, they weren't damaged, but that's not always the case. We were able to contact the customer after we examined them. We still coated them, they were sent out. But it's absolutely critical that you adequately pack your pistons so that not only do they arrive safely, but the coating stays intact when we ship them back to you, because we use your packaging material when they're sent.
Thank you very much for watching. Please visit line2linecoatings.com for more information. More videos are coming.